before we, like I said, before we shoot your load. Typo has an early load release, so we gotta get in and get out, or else
as long
it's
as
all
you're
gone.
not, who cares?
Yeah, right. As long as I get mine, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
What you drinking over there? What are you drinking?
Yingling.
Oh my man, one of the
that's
boys.
Luke's favorite.
Yeah, I normally go with PBRs just because they're cheap.
Oh,
That's
dude, you
Typo's
just won me
favorite.
over. You just won me and Luke over in 2 phrases.
Yeah, I can't stand people shit on PBRs. Like, they're actually pretty good, and like, I don't know, maybe it's just the white trash in me, but they're I don't know, I like them because I guess I spent like high school and like college in like Tennessee is where I was at before I joined, and like I drank a lot of Busch Light, Natty Light, PBR, and like PBR is like the classy one of the white trash beers. So yeah, I'm like,
I'll be honest, that's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, especially in this community, that like trash on light beer. And they they just hate it. And I'm like, dude, I've had IPAs and they're not fucking good.
That's because a lot of libertarians are fucking neck-bearded IPA drinkers, dude. Like, let's be honest, man.
They are hipsters.
And I like an IPA from time to time, but it depends on the situation. Like, but light beers are great for like day drinking. They're amazing day drinking beers. Because I
drink like that all the time. That's mostly when I drink I drink at night too, but it's because I was drinking during the day. So it's just a continuation.
Yeah, no, like I do, like I have 2 acres, so I generally have a decent amount of yard work I got to do. I mean, it's a pain in the ass, but it's a good excuse to like, knock back a couple, so, and like, you don't want to do expensive, nice beers, and also like a nice beer you want to enjoy. So like, you just want to like down a natty. That's the way to go. Can't tell me times I've gone a little bit too slosh and fucking ran my mower into something. Like,
you got the riding mower? Catch a DUI on your riding lawnmower?
Yeah, I fucked up pretty good one time. Like, ran it like really hard in some pavers, like
going a little too fast.
Yeah, I had to make up some story for the wife because I didn't want to be like, I was really fucked up in this expensive mower we have that I have no idea how to fix, even though I'm a fucking mechanic. Like, yeah, because I mean, we were talking before. I'm a mechanic, but I'm an aircraft mechanic, but like that doesn't mean I'm a good mechanic because they like the way I don't know how it is for you guys, but they hyper specialize your skills. Yeah. So like I'm basically a really, really, really good inspector of aircrafts, like, and being like, that's fucked up. And like, if it's something simple, I can fix it. And if it's not, I know the person who can fix it, and that's about it.
Yeah, so, that's literally my job right now, but for fire alarm systems. Like, I'm really, really good at inspecting fire alarm systems. I can tell you exactly what's wrong with it, but when it comes to fixing it, that's not my job. So I'd give you a quote for somebody else to do it. Like, that's like it's like especially in the military, it's like specialized conveyor belts, like or not conveyor belt, but automation. Basically, you just all do your one fucking thing, and you're really good at it, but you don't do all of it. That's for fucking sure.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of carryover. Like, I'm good with tools and stuff like that, but I don't know. I've had to, like, I had to fix my riding mower for some shit the other week, and like, it's a struggle. Like, but my pride gets the best of me, and I will take my time and try to learn some shit. But there's a certain point where, like, dude, this is beyond my skills, and it's like, and it's not that much skill.
17 pavers with this thing. Like, I just need to take it somewhere. Somebody else can fix it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not the battery, if it's not some hose that needs cleared out, if it's not some basic fix, I'm okay. I'm out of luck here. It's somebody else's problem. So
how do you find time to do No Way Jose between fucking your normal job duties, your family duties, and getting sloshed on the riding lawnmower?
Oh, I'm actually not someone who really gets sloshed. I mean, it is like when I do, like, probably more of the drinking I do during the day is when I'm doing yard work. And even then, I'm exaggerating a little bit. It's pretty rare that I have that much, but it's probably usually 2, 3, 4 beers. And that's about tops. But I don't know. My wife works nights, and so I kind of my kids go to bed at a certain time. So I usually try to schedule around when she's working. That's kind of what it bored out, because I don't know. I mean, I can watch TV here and there, but as time's gone on, like, I've gotten less and less interested in TV and shit like that. So just like, I've never been a big sports guy. So it's like when my wife's not home and I'm not trying to get laid, like, it's like I mean, I just kind of like with my thumb in my ass, like for a while, I got more into reading and stuff. Like,
oh yeah, and then, Air Force, you can read, we can't.
Yeah, like, so I know I do like to read, like the nerdy libertarian shit, and I'll switch it up with like comics here and there, but like I don't know, like it felt like a waste of time. Not that reading's a waste of time. I don't know. I just kind of the 2020 kind of really got me into podcasting. It started as like this other project that me and some friends started when we had more time in our hands. And I wasn't gonna do a podcast. My buddy kind of talked me into it. He's like, "Hey, you're pretty good at talking about stuff like this, and I think people would like you." Blah blah. And I was just like, for one, I'm a tech idiot, so like it took me a while to get into it to even learn like
fucking difficult to start it when you're like, I have no idea. A webcam? Isn't there one built into my fucking computer? Like,
and then you realize it's awful, and then and you're like, oh, I'll just use a normal audio. I'm like, oh my god, that's awful.
Yeah, but you're kind of a perfectionist too.
But I don't know. I got bored out of that. I just had more. The 2020 gave me more time in my hands because I was military then, and the way they were doing it for us is we would only show up when we had work to do, which you'd think that would be the way it would be actually, but that's not how the military goes. So it meant I worked like pretty much 1 or 2 days a week.
That's about what normal work we have on a normal basis.
And
that we
the rest of the time
over 5 days.
And the rest is just hiding from leadership, So
see how many appointments I can get to this week.
No, there to the end, I legit just would like show up and walk in with like a folder in my hand and then just leave.
It's like that saying where you can get into anywhere you want as long as you're like dressed to a certain extent and have a clipboard in your hand. It's like everybody just waves you through security. It's so fucking true.
3/4 of the time I would just go drive to the med clinic and just go to their big ass parking lot and take a nap.
That's how the end. I think everyone in their last like 6 months in the military is like all the same. Like you can get away with everything. You can just fucking bail out. I mean, there's certain things you have to show up for, but most of the time, like everyone kind of knows that you're not giving a fuck anymore, and they kind of just leave you alone.
Well, the problem with me is I was 11 years as an E6, so it's kind of that part of like they were kind of like edging me into like mid-level management. And I also was like fairly good at my job, and like so they were low manned, so they were always trying to like abuse the shit out of me to like be like, hey, and I legit had shit I had to do because there's a lot of gay ass bureaucratic nonsense you got to do to like get out. And like I was having to like, it was like pulling teeth to do it, and so eventually I just got to a point where like I realized if I even show up and work at all, then they're just going to like, if you give them an inch, they take a mile. So it's like, while I did kind of feel like a piece of shit, it was kind of like, if I want to have any time to do this stuff I need to do, I need to legit just be like, nope, I'm not here. Fuck you. Like, because part of you wants to be like, because it's your buddies that are like doing work and stuff. And you're like, you want to help them out. But then, if you do, then your leadership would be like, well, just use him, and like, and they'll just like abuse the fuck out of you. So it's like, you just had to just at some point be like, I'm a piece of shit. And I would like legit to my peers and like my underlings was like, don't ask me for shit. And then like obviously I didn't say it to like leadership, but I was like, I'm sorry, but it's like I legit have shit to do, and if I keep helping you guys, they're gonna keep expecting more out of me. And it's actually good for you guys because you guys need to stop relying on me because
that's the big thing, man. That's what I had to do. I was an E5 getting out, but I was only 4 years, but like I was an E5 getting out, but I ran everything for the radio section, like fucking everything. And I was and then I was an E5. So now they had a free E5 to throw on like, range days and things like that, because they're like, well, he's getting out, so we can throw him and it's not going to hurt us kind of thing. So then I went to the range. Like usually you do the range like twice a year. Sometimes you'll be like a range NCO. And then I was a range NCO like 3 times in 2 months. And I was like, this is fucking getting out of hand. So I just stopped showing up to things. And then they kind of thought I EAS'd. Like, I'm pretty sure there was people higher than me that thought I EAS'd already. Cause I was like, yeah, I'm doing this. And like, there'd be one guy that I'd tell, and it was like a corporal of mine. And I'd be like, hey, I'm fucking gone. So if they ask where I'm at, just say I'm gone. And usually they didn't even fucking ask because they forget. And they don't need me anymore because they're like, well, this guy, they write you off. And at that point, like we had already had problems, like myself in the unit. So they hated me anyways. And I was like, even though I was damn good and they passed all their inspections, like they loved me for that, and they used the shit out of me for that because they wouldn't have passed without me. But after that, it was like, I fucking hate you. And they were like, well, we fucking hate you too. And I was like, dope. I'm going to go do my own thing for the next 3 months.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Because I did 11 years. I know a lot of people, I don't know how it was for you guys. A lot of people complain and bitch and moan and this, that, but my job really wasn't that hard. I mean, there were hard aspects of it, but generally speaking, like, as long as you kept your head down, you were decent at your job, people usually, left you alone. If you had decent social skills, you were okay. I mean, there were obviously the occasional leadership who had a chip on their shoulder, but if you're a smart person, you know how to kind of work with that and not really butt heads. But it wasn't until like my last year when I like kind of was like, hey, I'm getting out. And that's when I started noticing more issues. So I don't know, maybe it just was happenstance that like I started getting fucked with more. But I think there was some aspect of leadership didn't like the look of someone who was like, over 10 years, like someone who should be a career person, someone who's like higher ranking. I think to some extent it probably reflected badly on them in their eyes of like, why is this person that could be a key part of the unit like being like, no, I don't want to do this under your watch.
Right.
Like, so I don't know, maybe. And it was funny, like it was like legit. I had like less than 6 months left, and I still had leadership trying to get me to get new qualifications for my job and stuff. And I'm like, dude, like why?
They don't carry outside of the military.
Yeah, like no one gives a fuck that I can do weight and balance for a fucking aircraft or whatever. Like no one's gonna give a shit. And like, cool, like you're gonna make me like go through all this fucking effort because I mean nothing's quick too with certain shit. It
takes forever.
Yeah, so like with certain certification, it would take a long time to get it, and it's like, dude, you're gonna get like what, maybe 2 months out of me, like being able to have this certification, like or whatever, to be able to do this one small aspect of my job. Like it'd be a lot easier if I use that time to be able, set myself up to be able to get out. Because like for one, I haven't even like set up my disability shit and stuff yet at all, and I've been out for a minute. Like I legit was like rushing to get the shit out in like the last month.
I got out in 2016. I still haven't done disability, so like
which I mean that's like I know that maybe some libertarians might get buttered about it, but it's kind of like free money, and it's also like I don't know, whatever.
The economy's collapsing anyways.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Give me money. Like I'm surprised you guys haven't applied for it. I know a lot of my friends have, and it sucks because I'm actually in pretty good health, so it's like you kind of feel like shit, but like to be like apply for it, but you're like I don't know. I mean, I guess my back's kind of fucked up.
You don't know how many people we met that I was like, what's wrong with you? And they're like, oh, I don't know, dude. I just said I had some back pain and they gave me like 20%. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of people that do that shit.
And now I'm probably going to have to, I just had to shell out $400 for a fucking MRI on Friday. And I have like pretty damn good insurance through my company. And, I was like, fuck, that's a lot of fucking money, especially with like the way shit's going. That's fucking Bitcoin in the bank, baby. And I was like, $400, like this is bullshit. So I was sitting there, and my parents have bitched at me constantly since like I'm fucking 28, man. Like, but my parents sit there and bitch at me like I'm an 18-year-old failing a class, in high school about going to do my disability. It's like every year, twice a year, they're sitting there and we have a conversation, and I'm like, well, I don't want to take the money. Like I don't want to fucking rely on this money, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm kind of like, before I would have relied on it because I had no fucking money. I was fucking broke. And that kind of pushed me to like find a better job, being so broke. And now it wouldn't be money that I'd rely on just because I have money. I have a decent amount of money to live decent, lower middle class, maybe middle class, like I'm on that spectrum where I'm like, I'm making decent money, I can afford things. And the VA would that money would help right now, especially with like having to pay for doctor's visits. And I'm pretty sure the injury is service related, and my fucking arm went numb, like completely numb. My left and right, or my left fucking forefinger and thumb, my index finger and thumb completely numb, and it's been numb for 3 weeks. 3 fucking weeks, and they're pretty sure it's like either a ruptured or ruptured or degraded disc in my neck, like 2 of them. And that's what the MRI was for. And I'm just like, fuck, dude, Like I don't want to. I don't know
probably
how much
from the Marine Corps, dude.
Yeah, that's definitely
probably from the Marine Corps.
Yeah, and then of course that same like this week, my sciatica fucking nerve is going fucking crazy, and I think it's because I've been holding myself different because I know my neck's hurt and I'm stressed about
nerve.
It's the sciatica, so it's like at the bottom of your back. It's the one that you have problems with all the time. You just don't know what it's called.
Yeah, but a lot of people have issues that are sciatic. A lot of people have issues that,
Yeah. But, so like, I'm just like, well, I better go do disability. But the only thing I did for disability, there's like one sheet of paper that you have to do within a year of you getting out for the first, like your first year of being out. There's one sheet of paper that if you do that and submit it to the VA, they send you a letter back. And when you go and do like when you finally go do your disability stuff, you can get back paid all the way from the date of your end enlistment. And so I did that paper, thank God. So maybe if it does happen, I'll get back paid. And with the way my neck and back and some other things are working out, and the giant ringing in my ears, maybe I'll get a decent little back pay paycheck, which would be nice.
Yeah, no, that'd be dope. It's funny. A few years ago, I probably would have been like, no, I don't want to take welfare from the government because that's basically welfare in some.
That's
regards.
Exactly what I did at the beginning. That's why I didn't take it.
Yeah, and now I'm at this point where like it's almost like this like conservative to full on Ericus pipeline or some shit. Because now I'm like, fuck them, give me the money, bitch. And like, I get it. Yeah, you definitely shouldn't rely on it. Like any sort of paycheck you're getting from the government, you should do your best to not be reliant on it because it may end up like, like we're seeing with the pokey poke now. Yeah, it might be this thing where like if you're relying on it, they're going to bear that in mind and be like, oh, you're reliant. Oh, well, you know what? Now you don't get it unless you fulfill these certain things we want you to do or whatever the fuck, So. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, they can't do that. Well, it's like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, they can. So,
and they are.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't heard of any like situations like that yet with like disability or like VA stuff, but I wouldn't surprise me at all,
That'd be fucking wild. I didn't even think
that'd be a way to get the black community, dude.
No, that's the way to get the white community, man. That's the Republicans on welfare right there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you already got him, dude. The military, bro.
Well, yeah, no, that's did you see? I just saw like literally 30 minutes ago, Sean Hannity tweeted out that he has 3 cadets coming on his show tonight, November 4th, for all those that will be listening to this on whatever day I fucking release it on Monday, that he has 3 cadets from West Point that refused the shot and they got dropped out of West Point. And I'm like, that's fucking wild because West Point's weird because, it's like a military fucking college, so go to the military, but it's a university too that you can get like an actual degree. And so they just dropped them. And there's been a lot of people that have been getting dropped from classes and things like that because they're not vaccinated all across the spectrum. But it was like a weird spot because it's West Point and all that. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, the only thing is the annoying thing, like I know I have a lot of buddies that are in the military still, obviously, because I was in there for so long. And I know a few people who are like, were fighting it, or I only know of like 1, maybe 2 that like legit were like, fuck you, I'm not doing it. Yeah. But like, I mean, a lot of people fought with like exemptions and shit like that. But I mean, you kind of don't really have much ground to stand on in the military perspective because you really did sign your shit away. So it is like kind of this and it's funny because they're mostly conservative types. And I mean, all power to you. I mean, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But it is like this, like, they're like my rights or whatever, and you're like, what do you mean?
Yeah, well, that's our thing too, dude. Like you did sign away your rights, and like that's why that's one of the reasons why we started the podcast. So like we want to show you guys how fucked you made yourself, like because we did the same thing. Like it's not coming from a position of like I'm better than you. It's just like no, we know because we did it too. But like let us tell you so you can try and get the fuck out. And there was one dude that I was talking to that like got He got out of the military like 2 years in after starting to listen to us. And that was pretty dope. I was like, dude, good for you. And like went out and he's doing, I haven't talked to him in a while, but I was like, that's fucking cool. But yeah, it's like you sign away your rights and you're kind of fucked and they can kind of push you to do whatever. But I'm all for them just refusing. Like the more they refuse, it's going to be hilarious to watch what they do because like, I don't know. They're already like, they've been understaffed since I got out in 2016. Yeah. So
yeah, no, for sure. They're, I was just talking about this with Justin O'Donnell because I guess he was prior like infantry, and we were and I was talking about because it's 2014 that had all these like effects where in the force they did like the 2014 when they did the Obama like cut the force big time. And the funny thing is like the way like we all know obviously there's a ton of fluff to be taken out of the military, but where do they do it? They do it where it's going to hurt most, the personnel. And obviously like I've always said I feel like that was like partially a political maneuver because like in the military is mostly conservative, and so when this like liberal comes in, it's like we're going to draw back. They're like, okay, well, guess what? It's going to look really fucking bad for you. And it kind of did. It really wasn't. A lot of people fucking hated Obama for that, because there were all these sob stories from the military, and like so they went about it the shittiest way they could possibly do. Which I'm all for cutting military spending. I'm all. Yeah. I mean, ideally, I'm for getting rid of it altogether. But like, like if you're gonna cut it, like. Why would you start with personnel? That's like the fucking most retarded place. I know
it's the worst place to start, dude. But then 2 years later, we had in my unit, we had staff NCOs E6, E7, and we had a major, and they were trying to get our Marines, our junior Marines that just got there, to sign re-enlistment packages so it would bump their numbers up. So they would look better because they had so many people, they didn't have the retention rate that they needed. So they were trying to get junior Marines to sign that they could eventually deny like before they accepted the orders, but sign re-enlistment papers 3 weeks after getting to the fleet. And they tried to scare them into it like, hey, you guys need to do this before week's end. And they're like coming to the corporals and sergeants like, corporal, sergeant, do we have to do this? And we're like, no, you don't have to fucking do this. It was fucking wild.
No, but it was fun. It's crazy with seeing the effects of that, because when they drew back, they didn't slow down the mission at all. It kept going. It's really creepy watch him go off with the fucking with the green screen. It's like he's just disappeared into the ether. But it's like they didn't slow down the mission at all. They fucking like they kept everything going like normal, and they just did it with less people. And the way it worked out for like me in the Air Force is you end up having this like huge gap between like people and experience. So like, because it basically took a lot of our experienced people that they kicked out, and then like so you end up having this like huge experience gap where you were low manned and they were still expecting the same amount. And so you didn't end up, then when they gave us this huge rush of new guys and we didn't really have the personnel to train them properly, and also we were trying to do the same exact mission, and there's always, whenever you're training someone, you got to slow down. So like, we weren't able to do that. So, and it's funny now, I feel like even to this day, they're still seeing the effects of 2014. So it'll be interesting. I've been saying, I think we're going to see a repeat of that, which I've been telling, like what I've been telling all my military friends is like, and this is kind of the line I go with. Obviously I'd like for all of them to get out, but I tell them like, hey, if you're under 10 years in the military, there is no reason why you should be staying. I mean, I guess obviously maybe you can think of some reason whether you have like family or whatever, but I think financially speaking, even from a purely like self-interested perspective, I think if you have less than 10 years in the military, like even without all my anarchist mumbo jumbo, you need to get the fuck out. Because I think we're about to see 2014 all over again, but way worse and way more underhanded. And I think because I don't know if you saw the culture shift where you guys were at. I'm in the Air Force, it's a little bit more corporate. But I know around 2014, we saw a big culture shift where, because, it was always, the military was always like, the boys will be boys. Like we used to have like dick pics everywhere. Like,
we were
like
both
that.
in Okinawa.
Yeah.
And just to add on real quick, when we, at the end of the time, me and Luke were there, it was basically ran by under enlisted guys. Like we ran, like sergeants and below ran H&S Company more than anything else. It was crazy to like watch how like,
when we go and tell people at other units, they'd be like, what? You guys were doing what? And like I knew more stuff. I knew more about, like the higher level inspections and then like some of the systems that we use and things like that than guys that had been in since Iraq.
Yeah.
It was just insane. And we were so understaffed, like at the next place that I was just like, what they didn't have enough people to send on deployments that they were pulling from other places.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, I'm sure, I don't know if you guys saw the same thing. And when you guys probably got this influx of new people, now you guys were super experienced, but you probably didn't have enough of you to go around to train these people. And they were probably expecting you guys to do the same amount of shit. So it's like, I'm sorry, I can't slow down to teach you your job. You're just gonna have to figure it on the fly. And so then later, once you guys move up to higher positions, now you have these retards filling your positions before, and they're trying to train other people, and they're not even like trying to be shitty. They're training the next group as best they can, but it's like the retards train the retards.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just this continuing effect.
Yeah, and it just gets worse and worse and worse as far as it goes down. And we already thought when we were in that there was retards running us. So it was like, damn, dude, like how much more? And we knew a lot of people back at the shop that we were at, especially the one that I was at, because our buddy Nick, that's been on the show a couple times, he was still in Oki until he came over, and he was there for a little bit longer too. And he would like message me like, bro, how do I do this? Because nobody in the fucking shop knows how to do this. And I'm like, oh, can I call you? Do you have like, can we jump on like a Skype call or something? Because I'm going to need you to show you some shit. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And thankfully they had some people that were like, but then most of it just fell under the wayside. I mean, when I got there, like, do you have record jackets like for like gear and stuff like that? Did you guys have that, or was all of your stuff online?
Not that I can recall.
Okay.
Are you talking about like I mean, where I worked on aircraft, we when I first got there, we had aircraft like I guess maybe I'm trying to think of what you're trying to get at.
Equipment like inventory equipment record jackets. So like for me, like I would have, dude, it would be down to like I obviously I used radios, so there's a lot of equipment that goes with a radio. So it's like a radio and everything that goes with this radio. It's like these 3 antennas, and it's an inventory sheet, and it's like record jackets. But we had them for like, it wasn't just for like for our trucks. There was record jackets for trucks where it's like, are all 4 tires there? Are these components there?
Yeah, we
like,
have those.
Yeah, kind of like your inspection sheet.
Well, we have them for every one of our equipment. We would have shit like that too.
Yes.
We didn't manage the equipment. But we would have equipment brought to us, and we always had to like check that shit and stuff. But yeah.
So when I got there, I got there in 2014, I think 13. Damn, Typo knows my record more than I do. But 2013,
we're there at the same time.
I know. But in 2013, I got there, and they hadn't been filled out since 2010. And so we're sitting there doing like a big ass inspection, and we're forging signatures on government documents to get all these record jackets up to date. And we're signing names of people that we don't even know. Like we found like a couple signatures that they had signed way back like when. And like even the gunny that was there and the officer that was there, the people that were in these record jackets from the last time in 2010, they didn't even know. So like we were signing names of people that have probably already gotten out of the Marine Corps,
dead.
Yeah, probably died. Like they came from an engineer support battalion, so not at war, probably from a drug overdose back in the States. But like, you know, like we're signing these fucking names all the way up through 2013, and then signing our names, and theirs is like Corporal this, Sergeant this, and then you have PFC Boggs, like an E2 motherfucker signing out the same record jackets, and it was just a constant that. So I'm sure it's probably the exact same, and my name's getting written down 45 times. This week in Okinawa, Japan, because they just keep forgetting about these goddamn record jackets that come up for inspections.
Oh yeah, no, the military is a bureaucratic nightmare to where it's like people just are just doing shit to do shit. And it's funny, then you end up like people where I know you guys probably have something akin to quality assurance, which you have people who are like supposed to follow up and like check that shit. And it's like, it's so gay, these people get in these positions and then fuck these people who do shit like that. But it's like, dude, you were doing that shit like a week ago.
Yeah, we're like, let's go back to you as an E2, E3, and let's see what you did. Like, can we run the tape on that? Because they're sitting there forging signatures too, because their corporals told them.
Yeah, but on my earlier point though, I genuinely think anyone who like, even if you don't want to look into theory or morals or whatever, if you have less than 10 years, I think you really are not seeing the writing on the wall if you aren't trying to get out or set yourself up to get out. Maybe if you have over 10 years, you might be in a position where maybe you have the time to be able to, you know, buy it out, wait it out, and, you know, get your pension and all that shit. Maybe. I don't know what the timeline looks like for the shit getting really gay. I think even if you have less than 10 years left in your till pension, it's probably going to get gay, but you might be able to weather the storm. But if you have less than 10 years, it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
why?
I get it.
What's
if you have,
the
like,
point?
It's going to get so gay. Like, I think, like, for one, you know, we're looking at inflation on the horizon. So And I know, I mean, I don't know what you guys' opinion. I kind of was like, sort of, not necessarily arguing with Justin yesterday, but I was talking about like, I got paid cake. Like my money in the Air Force was like, I was getting paid way more.
Oh,
than I should
no.
have.
Oh,
So,
well, yeah, probably.
yeah.
We were garbage. We didn't have fucking shit. Like we didn't get shit. We took pay cuts coming back to the States from Japan, like bad pay cuts. But I was just looking this up yesterday because I was talking about pay, and it's all, you can go and look at anybody's pay right now in the United States military because it's all set up and everybody gets paid the same. So across the branch, whatever, it's by rank and time and service. But we were looking
pay charts,
we were looking at the pay chart and it was like, there's some things that you can get paid extra for, but you don't usually get paid less unless you're in trouble. But for all those that don't know that, but we were looking at the pay chart and it was like an E6 with 11 years. It was like, sorry. I'll use a different example.
That's fine.
Oh no,
yeah. I think I basically was making like over 60K after taxes.
Yeah, it was like 4,500 every for the month, and that was without like certain benefits, you know.
It's probably before taxes, but because I was getting I don't remember exactly when I paid you. They were over 3K.
Yeah, it's all before pack.
So, and that was and I got paid twice a month, but I was getting paid over 60K a year after taxes as a E6. And I know you guys like kind of got out of your first enlistment, so I think maybe like having a little bit more time, you realize like, oh, so I don't know if you guys were living in the barracks or the dorms or whatever.
We don't have a choice until you're married.
So there you go. You guys didn't get the housing allowance.
Yeah.
So you do got to take that into account. I know you're like, look, I get shit pay, but you're like, I mean, obviously your living condition was ideal, but it was also free living. So you were getting free housing. But so you weren't having to pay.
The other thing was like,
you weren't having to pay for food.
We didn't get a choice.
Yeah, I know you didn't get a choice. I didn't get a choice either because my first I got married and got out because I probably got married in like the first year I got there. And I got out of there. But like I think I can't remember what the time is. I think you got to make like E4 and or a certain amount of years or some shit before they let you out of the dorms or whatever the fuck, and you can live off base. But even then, I know like that's the thing. Everyone when they say like, "Oh, I get shit pay," it's always some like airman that's in the dorms, and you're like, "Dude, but like you're getting free food at the chow hall."
And the Air Force chow halls were bees. We'd go to Kadena, and I got to go to Kadena Air Base, which is in Okinawa, and dude, we were like, that's like 5-star restaurant to us. We were like, let's go eat at the Air Base fucking chow hall.
Yeah, no, dude, people complain about that shit. It blows my mind because like I probably spend like, I mean, especially with a family, I probably spend over $300 every like week or two.
Oh yeah,
if not more. And like, dude, it was like the BAS, which is the allowance for food essentially, is like in the military was like $350. So like when I was in, that didn't even come close to covering the cost for my family, let alone even me.
Yeah.
So like, and it's like, dude, looking back, I'm like, man, I had a pretty cake deal in the dorms because it's like I would just like raid that motherfucker for food. And I know it's annoying because you gotta like go in there, get your food
certain times.
You know, it's not like it's like a grocery store. It's like times, but it's like looking back, I'm kind of like, that was a pretty tits deal.
All right, so like dope. The difference is like we had like the Sodexo people that like fed us, and they were like. So, we're the Marine Corps, so we eat crayons and lick windows. And then we had the Sodexo people that like, throw shit at other people because they're like legitimately mentally retarded. Like
I'm being nice. They were actually retarded.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. They have the same shit for us. Yeah. They're like, they hire a lot of fucking deficient
or we had
individuals.
Marines, or we had other Marines. And it's like, well, fuck this guy. And it's sad to say, but a lot of them were fucking black. Like the majority of the cooks in the Marine Corps were fucking black. And it's like, damn, I don't know how they got y'all into this. And then it makes a lot more sense. Do you guys remember that story about the guy that was like, I just want to cook KFC chicken for the rest of my life. I deserve a living wage. Do you guys remember that story?
Nah, I don't remember
that. It was a couple years back, but it was a vet. He was a fucking Marine Corps vet. And he was mad. He was mad that he wasn't getting he deserved a living wage. He had 4 kids and a wife at home, and they were living in an apartment, and he wanted a living wage. He was a Marine Corps cook. And I was just like, damn, dude, not showing the best of us right now. Just not showing the best of us.
Did y'all have I know we had we always call them the dream team. And they were the ones who cleaned the bathrooms, like in our units. They were like had contracted them out,
bro. Dude,
okay,
that was us, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, they would have a
team.
We're the fucking dream team.
That is like you guys' chow hall was kind of like our fucking bathroom cleaners. So, like it wasn't always retards, but sometimes they always had some sort of disability. Like I remember there was one time I got trapped in the shitter because the person they sent in there was deaf.
Oh, shit.
So I'm just like, hey, I'm in here, and they just keep going. So like, what the fuck? And so I just had to sit there for like a half hour because it was just so goddamn awkward. I couldn't leave.
Should have just came out, dude. Just been like, hey. But,
yeah, that's hilarious, dude.
That's fucking funny. So is in the Air Force, is drinking just as heavily like endorsed as it is in the Marine Corps, do you think?
I mean, I guess leadership and like the it as a whole probably no, but like obviously amongst like the younger people, fuck yeah. When I first joined, I was kind of getting that earlier, like how I was kind of predicting how it's going to get gay soon. It's going to be like 2014. Like along with the personnel cuts came a change in the culture. They really pushed through a change in the culture. They started like making us take down our fucking, like I always use the example Donger, the maintenance unicorn. We had like a little he was our mascot. It was like a unicorn that had a penis for a horn. And they made us take that down and just shit like that. I knew somebody got kicked out because that he drew a picture of a dick and it was like in the aircraft forms that we used to work on. So they kicked him out over that because
that's
like,
insane.
This is offensive. And like, so they were changing the culture. But so yeah, we definitely have like, they've kind of shifted the culture to that extent, but it's still at the same point. There's still that like boys will be boys culture in the military. So there definitely is that. But I mean, they're working to change it, and I do think we're going to see more of that. So
well, and in the military, like that's my thing. If we have a military, like it's got to be like some ruthless ass motherfuckers. Like I'm sorry, it just has to be. Like you can't change it to this like if there has to be a military, gun to my head is there's a military or you die, then these you got to be a little fucking crazy. Like you have to be. You're going and fucking murdering people. Well, and let's say you're doing it for the right reasons. Even like it takes a lot to go through a lot of that shit. And if I want to write Wagner loves cocks on a fucking porta potty with a dick next to it that's super veiny, then I should be able to do that. Like if I want to have I got in trouble one time because me and my roommate had up on our walls in our barracks room, we'd get the inked mag like every month, and we'd put up like the girls that we thought were the hottest up on the wall, and we had like a whole fucking wall full of them. And we got in trouble finally, like towards the end of my like last 6 months in Okinawa. We had female lieutenants that came in and inspected the rooms, and they didn't like it, and they thought it was disgusting and this, that, or the other. And I was like, well, ma'am, I'm not taking it down. And then their boss, a first lieutenant, or no, what was her name? Lieutenant Belding. I think she had just became
S1?
A captain. Yeah, S1.
She was the one that was uncomfortable.
No, she came in and was like, those are some hot women. You can keep them up. I don't care what they say. And I'm like, yes.
Dude, she was a fucking Mustang, enlisted.
Though. Yeah, she was enlisted and then went officer. Dude. But there's that. Like I got away with a lot of that shit. But yeah, it definitely was changing. But I just think it's like, as much as I hate the military, like, fuck, I just don't want it to be even worse for the people that are in. Like, it sucks for it to be worse for the people that are in.
Especially me being in as long as I was. Like, there is that, like, nostalgic when you first come in. But it's funny, even when I first came in, you talk to people who had been in longer, and it was even crazier. I'm like, dude, this sounded fucking dope back in the day. Like, I know, like, when I first joined, I knew another, like, probably was basically like me, but like back then, like an E6 with like over 10 years in, and he would tell me about, but when he was in, this is when I first joined, like when he was young, and how like he would tell me about the first time when like anyone got in trouble for like a DUI in their unit, and how like the whole unit got upset. And then like how dare you give him a fucking, a minor slap on the wrist for fucking getting drunk off base? Like, who gives a shit?
Dude, we found videos. There was videos that got sent around, and it was from Okinawa, Japan, Camp Hansen, and it was out in Kintown, which is where we would go party when we finally got to like go off base. and it was from like 1996 or something like that. And it was like it was literally like looking through a fucking alternate timeline. That's what it looked like, because they were doing like the same shit that we were doing, but they were allowed to do it. And it was just, it was fucking, I mean, I guess it was almost 20 years before. It was 15 years before, but I was just like, damn, dude, like that looked dope, because they didn't have to fucking hide it. We were like risking our careers to do it. Like, it's kind of made it more fun, to be honest. Like, let's be real.
It definitely does show the culture is shifting. Because it's funny, you even talk to even older old timers, and like I've known people who were like, say around my stepdad was in, like they'd be getting fucking stoned before fucking, you know, showing up for work, and like no one gave a shit. They'd be passing around with their fucking leadership, like no one give a fuck. Like it's wild, like the way it used to be. Like my stepdad, the way he got in the military is he got the choice between going to jail for some shit he did or joining the military. Like that's how it used to be. Like he fucking,
yeah, it's unheard of.
Yeah,
it's unheard of now.
Yeah, they'd be like, what? We don't want those degenerates. And like back then they're like, dude, those are our people. Like I'm like, that sounds fucking dope. Like, and I don't know, there is this
Typo's dad's got some stories, man.
It is weird that it's like there's like this subculture in the military that still has that feel to it, that they're still trying to shift out, but it's almost like the heart and soul of the military in a weird way that they're just slowly just, you know, trying to get rid of, and they are succeeding. It's slowly going away. I can tell you, I mean, I'm obviously have a little bit different perspective because you guys still have probably a little bit more of that heart and soul in the Marines because you guys are the fucking retards. But like, you know, we're a little bit more corporate in the Air Force. So we have made that shift a little bit more, but it's like, what is it? I mean, you can almost make the case that fucking the Marines are just fucking the Air Force driving the speed limit or some shit like that. You know?
No, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And fuck, all those studies that took place, like women going into combat units and stuff, that all took place in the Marine Corps first before it took place anywhere else, because they were like, if anybody can do it, the Marine women can. And then it showed like it just doesn't work the same way. It just doesn't work the same way. And maybe one day it will, maybe, but like right now it doesn't work the same way because there's just a fucking difference in it. And I don't know, the whole fucking thing is wild. And I just wish with all my heart that it doesn't get worse for those guys, but I obviously see the same thing that you do, that it's going
generally speaking, bitches aren't fun. So
they're not about it. They don't want that.
Was a big thing they were pushing mainly. I mean, they were kind of pushing the whole time me and Luke were in, but mainly toward the end of our time was like they were trying as hard as they can to put women in the same position as every other fucking dude in the Marine Corps. It was fucking crazy, dude. And it'd be like test after test they would do. And I don't know, it was such a big talking point in the Marine Corps. Like half the Marine Corps was just like, we don't want no bitches in our fucking corps. And then the other half were like not necessarily okay with it, but they were just like, let them. Bitches want to die. Bitches want to die. And it was just like brutal, like
that was the way it was, dude. They were just like, fuck, if they want in, let them. Let's see if they can rumble. Like, let's see if they can last.
I don't even necessarily have problem with like women in certain positions, but the problem is like the way the military works is they don't really, like, a good example of this is like, I'm sure you guys are the same thing. There's different PT standards for men and women.
Yes.
Like, why? Like,
dude, I was just about to bring that up because like they were like researching like, oh, do we need to bring the women up to the same physical standards as the men? And right before I got out, they changed the standards for both women and men, but not to the equal thing. They made the men's harder and then like made the women's harder. And it was like, but it's still not equal. And all the men were like, if they're going to do the same jobs as us, then they have to do it. Like a lot of the guys in the Marine Corps, that was like their stance. It's like, if we're held to a standard, they get held to the same standard. Yeah. And then it just wasn't. They were like, oh, well, we reevaluated the PT test for everybody, and everybody's like, oh, dope, maybe they finally listened to us. And they're like, we made it harder for men. You have to do more pull-ups, you have to do a better 3-mile time, and I think they changed like the crunches a little bit. You had to do more crunches or something like that. The PT test was pretty easy. The pull-ups a lot of people have a hard time with, especially like longer guys. They usually have a harder time with them. And then the running sucks though. I think ours is definitely the hardest run out of the military branches. The pull-ups, like most people can fucking do across the branches. Obviously there's different weight standards for across the branches, but The pull-ups are pretty easy. The crunches are fucking easy as shit.
You
and
lie. Everyone lies.
Everybody lies because nobody fucking cares about them because it's not even a real workout. And then the run, the 18-minute 3 mile, like that shit was hell. That shit was that shit was a living hell.
Yeah, dude. I always struggle with a mile and a half, but I'm fucking 5'5", fucking like 220. So like I max out push-ups, sit-ups every fucking time, but like I like literally am always like right at the bottom of like passing for the run, like cutting it close every fucking time. So I mean, whatever. I mean, who cares? But
dude, ours was weighted so heavy for the run. That was the worst part.
Did that matter? Like your PT standard matter a lot for like promotions and shit?
Not really. It was literally a go or no go, basically. So they didn't give a shit.
It's very heavily weighted in the military. Like,
I mean, if you fail, you're gonna have a hard time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, no one fails. If you fail, like they come after you, dude, like fucking vultures.
Yeah. No, I do. I mean, we all know the fucking I don't really feel like the fucking, because they always give you the fucking bullshit that you like need to be fit to fight or where the fuck the saying is. And like they give you that nonsense for the fucking PT test, but I don't think, I've always said that's more like for long-term, health insurance, costs and shit is what it's more for. So, but
never thought about that. That's a way smarter interpretation of that than I ever thought.
Think about the stress they put on the cardiovascular activity. Like most career fields and most MOSs in the military, like they don't need to run a mile and a half, 3 miles. Like they need to be able to run like maybe 40 meters to like cover or some shit. Like that's about it. Like,
and this is where my horse blinders are, because I was a radio operator and I was like, I need to be able to run 3 miles in case of, of anything. And that's totally fucking true. It's way more of a,
when the fuck do you run 3 miles?
Well, no, if I was in combat, like you got to be able to like move around in fucking combat, but I never went to combat either, so it didn't fucking matter. But you know what I mean? Like honestly, that makes way more sense.
I've never heard that before.
That's always been my theory.
It just blew my fucking mind.
That the Air Force guy shows up one time and we're like, we're learning.
Well, if you think about the way the standards are, I mean, they put so much stress on the cardiovascular aspect of it, the running, and then I know they do the waist measurement for Air Force. So these are good determinants of long-term health. Cardiovascular activity, like I know a lot of people in the Air Force bitch because they do the waist measurement, and they're like, people bitch that like, oh well, like because I knew a dude who was like 6'6" once, and like he was actually skinny, but he would always cut it close on, because if he put on any weight at all, he probably would have failed the waist measurement just because he was legitimately big boned. He's a big motherfucker. I mean, people would be like, well, that's unfair. Like, well, if you're looking at it from a long-term health perspective, not really, because that motherfucker, like, I mean, I'm kind of thick, but say I wasn't thick, say I was like of the same body fat, same like basically build as him, but at my height, I'm on average going to live longer than he will, just because, a body over decades and decades, it takes more stress on the cardiovascular system to be able to support life for something that large.
Yeah.
So, that's why you see like bodybuilders, or they're like in generally good health in a sense, and they end up like having like heart attacks. Cause like if you're 350 pounds, like that's more work your heart has to do. And so over time that shit adds up. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking being autistic, but the whole point I was getting at, it's like, even the military is kind of retarded. Like I have no problem with like women being in certain positions, but it's like at the same time, it's like, well, can you do the job? Because like I know in my job,
that
was
like
the
biggest thing.
Yeah, like they don't have. I mean, I always thought they should do some sort of like physical test for individual MOSs, because like
I agree.
There's aspects of my job that was like, I mean, some women can do it, but most women generally are smaller and aren't gonna have the strength to do certain things. For example, there's a like fuel shop in my there are people who work on the fuel systems of the aircraft,
right? And
a lot of those people, they have to go like inside of the fuel like the fuel.
So you gotta
tanks.
Be small enough to go.
Yeah, but they don't have any sort of like way that out. So it's like you're literally just getting random people. Like, wouldn't it make sense to be like, you need to be below this height and this like weight or whatever? No. They're just like, we gotta have this equality, and it's like, yeah, but now you're gonna end up with a motherfucker like me, and they're like, get in this tank, like, can't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was kind of like with us. It's like, if like for radio operators, if you're out in the field, you're carrying 40-50 pounds more in batteries on top of your pack, and a lot of our packs were 80 pounds at the very minimum. Like that was the lowest my pack ever was like 80 pounds, and it's like, all right, so you got to carry 120 pounds, so you expect this 110-pound person in general, just a person in general, whether it's male or female, to carry 120,
really just like
120 to 130 pounds. And it's like, I'm not saying that they can't, but don't you think it'd be beneficial to have, you know, 180 pound, 200-pound dude or chick that's in good shape to carry that load? Because it's a lot easier on them than it is on people that are fucking 110 or 90 pounds. And it just so happens that majority of females in the Marine Corps, because the Marine Corps stresses, you know, your people come out looking fucking Ethiopian from boot camp because you just run so damn much that you're fucking light as shit when you come out for the most part. And it's like women lose that weight a lot faster because their bodies just go through it differently than males do. And fuck, we all lost. I lost so much fucking weight in the military compared to when I was in high school. And I was in good shape. I played basketball and football. Like I was a fucking animal on sports. Like I didn't love running, but I was damn good at it. And I still lost weight. I didn't even know I had weight to lose.
Yeah, so I got just skinny fat in basic.
Skinny fat.
Yeah, because I didn't get any good sort of good like muscular workouts, but I did a ton of cardio. So it was like I just got like skinny fat, like lost a lot of my muscle, but got really good at running. Because I actually joined for like basically a special forces type job, and I ended up failing out later. But I was like before I joined basic, I like got really good at swimming, really good at running. I think I did like something like close to almost 40 pull-ups in a minute, like for my fucking test to join.
That's wild.
Because they make you do the test for like the pass test is what they call it. And like I was like insane good shape. That was like one of the only times in my life I had a six-pack. I was ripped. Like, and I fucking got in basic, and like they didn't really ever like, yeah, they do workouts, but it was like their workouts sucked ass. And then like they didn't really ever give us pull-up time. They never get pool time. And so we just did a shitload of running. Like my run got better. Like I probably shaved almost a minute off my run, but like everything else went to shit. So I got like skinny fat. Like I went from being like ripped to skinny fat.
That's fucking hilarious.
It's like, cool, I can run.
Yay, I'm so happy.
Yeah. And the eating habits in basic are awful too.
Yeah, they're garbage.
Either. Yeah.
No. Fucking
you're just inhaling everything you can as quick as you possibly can.
Just to get any amount of carbs in your body to like sustain you for the next till you can eat again.
Yeah. Exactly.
We'd steal peanut butter. It was like a NJP'able offense to steal peanut butter from the chow hall and eat it in your bed. And I'd do it every fucking night because I was like, dude, I am losing so much weight. I feel like ass all the time. I need to steal these peanut butter packets. Like I was a fucking thief in boot camp. Stealing peanut butter, dude.
I swear I almost beat the shit out of someone over stealing peanut butter once.
Dude, I beat the shit out of somebody for getting caught and stealing peanut butter. But
yeah, I didn't care that he stole it. It's that he got caught.
No, that's the thing. Like I got caught.
He called me like a bitch over something. I wasn't even like I don't remember what I even said. I was probably not even. He was like, "Fuck you, you bitch," and I was like twice his size. Like, you motherfucker.
Dude, that's the thing. You don't get mad at people for like doing the same thing that you do. You get mad at them because they got caught for doing it. Like that's what I got mad at. I was like, dude, it's so easy to fucking pull the wool over people's eyes. Just don't be a fucking dumb fuck about it. He like fell asleep eating the peanut butter and it was in his hand when he woke up. And I was like, are you fucking, you fat fuck?
Going back and like kind of like analyzing yourself in boot camp, like you can see how easily like human beings can be like tricked into doing shit, just like follow like they're like cattle. But it's so crazy how like when you put 80 people in a room together, how quickly people get so frustrated with each other. Like I mean, like it was like a weekend, dude. People were fighting. I'm like, what's going on, guys? Like we just got here. But goddamn, dude.
Yeah, it really reveals human nature big time. And it's funny too. I know you. I'm sure you guys are the same thing where you had different. You had like element leaders and shit like that. And you had like the guide on bears, and so like you see people get drunk on power and like made up power. And you're like, dude. Who fucking cares, you fucking loser?
Yeah. Yes, dude. There was like 5 minutes ago, this guy was like my friend. We were allies, and now he like just yelled at me. I'm like, what?
Dude, we had all of our squad leaders got fired one day. They just fired them all, and they put new ones in. And this dude that I was cool with, he was one of the squad leaders, and I was pretty chill with him. We were cool back and forth. And then I took his job. There was 4 of them. All 4 of them got fired and I got a place, and he was like, After that, he never fucking talked to me again, and he fucking hated me. And I was like, dude, you're a bitch. Like every time I saw him after that, I was like, you're a fucking bitch. And the next day, like I didn't even want to be squad leader. I was like, this shit's for fucking plebs. Like I don't need this shit. I don't fucking want it. I don't even want to be here. And I know it's all fake. And I was like, I don't want this squad leader job. And the next day they brought them all back in. You guys get a second chance kind of thing. And he was just like all uppity about it after that. And I was like, dude, this guy's a fucking bitch. Like, and then I got to like in our culminating event, we did pugil sticks. And you know, you got to fuck each other up with pugil sticks, and I got to fucking fight him, and I beat the shit out of him in pugil sticks. I got pulled off of his ass.
I don't know if you guys have the same experience, but I know when I first went to basic, I had in my head that I was like, I do want to take on leadership positions. I want to become a good leader. I want to be able to like learn these things, blah, blah. And I was coming from this like honest place. And then I learned real quick. No, I don't. And it's not even necessarily that I didn't want to be a good leader. I realized, oh, the people in leadership don't become good leaders.
Yeah.
This is a good way to create shit leaders or just compliant people who do whatever you say. Like you learn real quick, like how it fucks with people's head. And don't get me wrong, there's some guys that were cool and you could tell they're like, the fucking, you know, drill sergeants put me here, whatever. This shit's gay. Like, I'm just doing what I can to help people that are out. Yeah. And some people understand it, but some people get wrapped up in it. And you're like, oh,
well, it's because it's the first time they've ever had any kind of power in their entire life. You know, like there's so many like the joke about like, oh, I played Call of Duty, I could join the military, and then they do. Like that's a real thing. Like there's so many people that went to boot camp. We threw a dude in a fucking dryer one time because he was talking about how many kills he's gonna get in fucking like in the Marine Corps. This dude was like a bulk fuel water specialist or some shit like that. We're like, dude, you're never going to combat. You're going to give showers to everybody. Like that's what you're going to do. You're going to clean water for people. Like you're going to be our fucking custodian. And he was like, no, I played he literally said I played Call of Duty, and we shoved him in a dryer. And this was before, like a couple years later, another kid got shoved in a dryer, but by the drill instructors, and he sued the Marine Corps and got a lot of money from
it. Yeah, I think he died.
Yeah, he might have died. But
he
died.
Oh, do you guys remember when there was that big story a while back about like I don't know if this must have been around the time you guys were in. I know it's probably maybe a year or two, maybe even a little bit longer after I got a basic, where there was a big thing about how like the basic, like the drill and sergeants were basically raping women. But you read the story though, and you realize like, oh, it's not that clear cut. Like it's more that these are guys in a position of power, and these women are like, yo, what's up?
Yeah. So that was that's actually
real thing.
A huge thing. And it was, I don't know. I mean, we didn't see it maybe as much just because there's significantly less women that's in the Marine Corps than in the Air Force. But no, that happened like all the fucking, God damn it, this pop up. Get the fuck out of here. All right. Anyways. Yeah. There would be women that, I mean, like it was very common, dude. I mean, it was always like some new PFC, and then all of a sudden she's dating some fucking E4, E5.
Yeah.
But then there would be, I mean, there was cases all the time. And at first, like, I don't know if it's like we're brainwashed from public school or whatever, but you kind of hear about like a rapist or like, oh, this guy's being accused of rape or whatever, or abusing his power or whatever. And then you kind of find out a lot more details, and it's actually like a few times it was complete bullshit. Like just complete bullshit. It's like
and then you start questioning it because you're like,
And there almost creates this animosity too, because there's actually a lot of cases like that every time you would hear some rape charge, people would just go, I bet she's lying.
Yeah.
It does a real disservice, because I've actually had to deal with as an NCO women who were going through scenarios like that. And obviously you never know exactly what happened, but there were a couple scenarios where I'm like, I think she very well may be telling the truth. And like,
sure, yeah.
I know everyone is already making assumptions. And it's like, also then it's weird when you're like the one kind of helping out, because you kind of can't really jump in, because it's like,
that's a weird spot of being an NCO, dude.
Yeah. So you're like, I mean, I was more speaking of in the specifics of like drill sergeants, because they would have dudes who would be in charge of like fucking basic training units of women. And you're like, what did you expect?
In the Marine Corps you don't have that. So you have females that train females and males that train males.
They have that now in the Air Force, but they didn't then.
Yeah. Well, I think they're trying to change it in the Marine Corps. So like we caught up to the times, and I'm sure knowing how the Marine Corps operates, we'll revert back to
me and Luke. So we're on, and if you don't know this, in the Marine Corps, if you go West Coast, it's all dudes. So your boot camp's all dudes. And then your MCT training is all dudes as well. And MCT, if you don't know, is like for a bunch of pogues that don't get actual infantry training. It's like a quick, expedient version of combat training for the pogues in the Marine Corps. Well, we would hear all the time from our East Coast friends. So they went to boot camp, and there is women there, but they're all separate and like separate battalions, platoons for training or whatever. But then they come together at MCT. And if it like MCT is basically just boot camp part 2. Like they still treat you like shit,
and you're just dirty all the time.
Yeah, you're dirty. Like it's actually like almost worse than boot camp in a way, which is weird. But anyways, we would hear like our East Coast friends would come tell us like the whorish things that them and these women would do. I mean, when you're in like a boot camp scenario, dude, and like both like tensions are high, your adrenaline's kind of running all the time, emotions are weird, and then people get sexual.
You're
fiends.
18 years old.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they were
fucking in some weird spots.
Yeah, porta johns, dude.
Weird things, like after being in the field for fucking a couple of days.
Dude, I know what you mean. I remember it was in basic. Like I would like they had us together. I mean, not together. We'd have different units, but like you would see them marching behind shit, and like I mean, this sounds like such a high level of thirst, but when you've been in like basic around like dudes and like it just, you don't even see porn or anything, you're just on like a next level, and you just like a unit of women would march by and you'd get a whiff, you'd be like, oh yeah.
You could smell a woman, dude. I got to 29 Palms. There was this one dude that I got to 29 Palms with to go to my MOS school, and it was like we got off the bus and he's like, there's women here. And I was just like, oh my God. And then like literally 30 seconds later, a girl's walking back from the gym. And I was like, dude, you're fucking weird, bud. Like, what the fuck, man? But then you started to notice it. You're like, damn, you could smell, and you could smell from a radius because you're not used to anything. And like, it's not like brand new smells. Everything smells the same in the military. So you're not used to that smell. And you're just like, oh shit. Like you can smell like the shampoo that's different or whatever, and you're just like
animalistic real quick.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Super weird.
So like the first 4 months of my Marine Corps career, I was in basically boot camp part 2. No female Marines. I literally never saw one. So like my short 4-month experience, I didn't even think they necessarily existed. I was like, I see them on posters sometimes, but like I don't think they're real. And then I get to Intel school in Dam Neck, Virginia. And then like the person like helping me check in was a woman Marine. And like all of the guys that got off the bus were all from the West Coast, and we're all just like standing there staring at her. And she's like, I know, it's the first woman Marine you ever seen. And we're like, whoa, you exist. Like it was so weird. It was like a moment. And I didn't even realize it happened, where I was like staring at this because it's just like it didn't seem right. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, because you just don't see any in boot camp, and you don't see any in MCT. Like it's so separated on the West Coast that it's just like, I actually thought that there was like 3 of you in the entire Marine Corps. It was super weird,
dude. We had we had like a dry cleaners, so we would drop off like our dress blues and shit, and like they had chicks there, and I remember thinking they were so fucking hot, and being like, oh my fuck, they're so like, and like I'd be like laying in bed like thinking about them later. I know this is like such high levels of thirst. And then later after like, I think I saw them because like they gave you the couple days off, like when you graduated or what, not off, but you kind of got out. And I think I got a couple out of my system, cranked the few out. And then I saw them later and I was like, dude, what the fuck was wrong? They're goddamn hideous.
Dude, we'd come back from the haircut line where they like literally gash your head open, and they'd be like old, like Hispanic ladies or old, like Korean ladies or, Filipino or whatever. And they're like old and they're not good looking at all. And you'd have guys that come back to the, to the barracks and stuff afterwards, and they'd be sitting there like, dude, I'd fuck the shit out of her if she gave me a chance. Like blah 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 blah. And this is why Marines are so fucking decrepit, dude. This is why we're so like fucked. They literally just try to piss you off as much as possible, that you have no standard of living and no standard of anything in your life, that you're just like, yeah, dude, I'd do it. Whatever. It's whatever.
Dude,
Cool.
your standards for everything just go down like instantly. And it's so
Food,
weird. We call it like women, field goggles. When you're like in the field doing training, like playing in the sand and you're just fucking around or whatever for some training op, and it goes like longer than 3 weeks. At like week 2, there's someone like, yeah, I'd fuck her. And then like, dude, she's like a 1, like she's nothing. And if we were back at base, you would definitely not do this. Like you wouldn't even do this drunk. And you're saying it now.
We called them 2 10-2s, 2 at home, 10 when you're deployed, 2 when you get back.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's so bad.
I luckily was pretty good at avoiding that, but it was like, I know when I was deployed, you would see. Because for me, I guess it's just more, I'm just like, I'm not putting in that kind of work to get like hideous puss. Like, don't get me wrong. Like if she had come at me and like, be like, you want it, but it's like I feel like if I'm going to be honest with myself, I'm like somewhere between a 6 and a 7. So like, and this fucks up the number system so much. So like having like one chick to like 1,000 or like 100 dudes or whatever. Dude, exactly. And it's, you got to think like, okay, like I get how this is working. There's a dude who's like obviously like objectively way better looking than me, that's probably like sniffing her asshole all the fucking time. So me to be like, I'm gonna jump in here. And even then I also realized there's that aspect of not hounding her is probably to some extent makes you more likely. It's like this weird catch-22. Like if you chase her, you're probably not gonna get her, but if you don't chase her, you probably won't get her either. So.
But then at least you don't have the hope, so it's like whatever.
We talk about this all the time because like in Okinawa, Japan, so our first like year there, we had like basically no fun off base. Like you couldn't just let me rephrase. You weren't allowed to go off base and stay overnight and whatever. You had to like sign in. Like, I don't know. There's this huge incident in Japan where someone like raped this Japanese
as a contractor too.
Yeah, it made like this huge thing. So they like locked down the military in Japan. So like the first year we were there, we couldn't even like drink off base. You couldn't stay overnight, like all this craziness. Couldn't get a car. And so like, I don't know. And then we were on base, and I mean, there's just not that many females. But these females, dude, that were like ranging between like 3s, and I mean, there was a few hot chicks, I would say. But like the 3s would just go through dudes. Yeah, just fucking go. Like, dude, they were dating, like they were hoeing left and right. And everyone, like anyone that wasn't completely blurred from their like animal instincts, like everyone was like, dude, how is this chick getting these dudes? Because like objectively speaking, these dudes are like 7 and 8s, and she just went through like 10 of them in a month. Like, how is this possible? And it's like
2 in a night.
Dude, if you sometimes, and if you are like an ugly chick, I tell you, join the military. Like you will get every fucking dude you want. Like it's crazy.
If you want to be ugly and bang hot dudes, I mean, you probably could marry him too. I mean, if you play your cards right, you manipulate the situation. If you're home stationed, you might have a harder time. But you know, you catch them while you're deployed, or tech school. I can't tell you how many dudes that like. I don't know if what you I guess I don't remember what you guys said, but you're equivalent for tech school, basically where you learn your job, MLS school, where they light up a little, they lighten up a tad. I knew multiple dudes who got married when they were in tech school. Like, dude, you're just like, you're literally putting the pussy on a pedestal right now, dog. Like,
it's so bad. The biggest simps are fucking military dudes, dude. They're the fucking biggest simps. And dude, it was so bad that we had male docs that were cross dressers show up after the night of a ball, and half the dudes were like, I'm gonna fuck that chick tonight, and we're like, dude, that's fucking so and so from the Navy, like that's our doc from our unit. And he's like, no, it's not. And it's like, but and it was like, no, it's not. And then I was like, no, it is. And then he looks and he's like, let's still fuck him. And it's like, damn, bro, like, all right, like go after it, dog, dude, like you do you. I don't know. It was just the fucking wildest thing. I think like all the fucked up shit in the Marine Corps, like I was always like, I wasn't like a super good kid. I was kind of like an anti-authority kid. So going to the Marine Corps was fucking wild to my parents. They were just like, what the fuck? But I think it kind of led me to, you know, like libertarianism and anarchism in general, because I was just like, it just pushed me so much further down that I was just like, damn, this is not intelligent. And then I was like, why is it not intelligent? Because I could feel that it was wrong. Like I could feel like things were wrong in it. And I was like, why do I feel this way? And then I'd start looking at more things. And I'm like, all right, this is why. And then I'd find certain people that I liked and blah, 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 blah. Is that kind of how you came to it? Or like, how'd you get to this whole libertarian anarchist sphere?
I once again, I was talking to Justin about this yesterday, and I actually kind of thought about it more, and it kind of made me realize, like, I don't know if I necessarily could say exactly. I think it was maybe I was already kind of prone to going that way. I was kind of getting more into podcasts. I was like more in the conservative, like when I was like listening to Crowder, Shapiro, shit like that. But I kind of went down that rabbit hole, and I guess I kind of like we were talking about for like a lot of the infantry guys to see crazy shit. A lot of times I feel like that kind of shakes you out of it quicker. Yeah. And you don't need this like deep theory and shit like that. But for me, it was like almost like I needed it because it was like more like it's a normal job and shit, you know? Yeah. So like, I don't know. I can't necessarily say I attribute it entirely to it, but it definitely accompanied it as I went along, you know? That's
kind of how it was for me. It wasn't so much that it was like the leading factor, but it helped. Like I was just like, oh, like, look, this is the epitome of what the federal government is. And I always had a problem with like the federal government. Like I never knew exactly what I had a problem with. I had a problem with Democrats for certain reasons, but I probably leaned more liberal. That's just how I grew up. I was more liberal, more Democrat. But because I couldn't stand the Republicans. And then like going through the military, I definitely got more conservative in my thinking. And I was like, God, a lot of this is stupid. And then same thing, like that Ben Shapiro, Crowder, like that sphere. I was like, oh, this is interesting. I like what these guys are saying. And then they would say some things. And I was like, I don't think that's right either. Like, I just don't think that they're hitting the right spot. And that kind of led me to like look for more things. And then I finally found like Typo and I always say, it was like Gary Johnson was one of the big people that we saw first. And it's so fucking funny because now we're like, Gary Johnson is a joke. Oh like, God, you know? But it was just like one of the first things that we saw. And it was like the catchphrase was easy and it made sense and blah, 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 blah. And fuck, I don't know.
What was this catchphrase?
Fiscally conservative.
Oh, that was his thing? Oh, God.
Dude, so I would repeat that shit.
Yeah, so I would say I said it to my fucking parents, bro.
Yeah. No.
Well, like, the military made me so like I came from a conservative family. And the military made me so spiteful of the military that like when fucking people said like thank you for your service and like all that shit, it pissed me off.
Dude, I hate that shit.
I did not do anything. Like this is before I was like even like an anarchist or anything like that.
This is just hating the military.
It made me so spiteful and made me like rethink because like I grew up in a military family. Like my grandpa's in World War II. So like my whole world like fucking fell apart when I joined the Marine Corps and I realized like this is fucking bullshit, dude. And I mean, I would just say that like the Marine Corps really pushed me to be like anti-authoritarian, like coming out toward the end. Like that's probably why I chose anarchism.
Yeah, the thank you for service. It like drove me nuts even when I was like in that like more bought into it. Because even then I'm like, dude, I fix planes. Like, I mean, I'm just some dude. Like it's like basically a 9 to 5 in a lot of ways. Like okay. But now it's more like even there's still more that's like, it's almost borderline weirdly. Like, I know it's not meant that way. It's borderline like a slap in the face now. Cause you're like, dude, I literally like was taking your fucking tax dollars and providing nothing of service.
Oh yeah. No, that's exactly how it is now. Yeah.
Did you deploy?
Huh? Yeah, I deployed. I only deployed once in times, which is actually not that normal for my career field. Usually people deploy a few times. But I mean, when I deploy, I just like our job, we just do the same thing while we're deployed. Like I know a lot of times you guys Marines will like, you'll be like an electrician or whatever. And even when you deploy, you're like, well, here's a rifle.
Yeah.
Like for us, it's like, no, you're legit doing your job over there. So I work on planes and then we deploy and you're like, go work on those planes. Right. I mean, it's actually kind of more chill. If anything, in some ways, it's kind of almost cooler deploying because you're like they're way less
to deploy too.
Yeah, it's way more relaxed. So you don't have like, leadership's usually generally kind of cooler in some ways. So it's like you don't have to deal with all the red tape and stuff. And I don't know. In some ways, it's cooler, but in a lot of ways, it's gay too. So
that's kind of how we are. But I was gonna ask, like, when you were deployed, did you feel like you were contributing to something?
No.
I mean, no. I mean, I guess I was a little bit more aware at that time what was going on because, I mean, for me, I was actually legit like working on planes. I was literally launching them out, and they were out there, you know, doing stuff. So I guess in a sense I was directly contributing to the shit going on. So I mean, I guess if I had some great patriotism, or if I believed in the mission, I guess I could have been like, you know, I'm actually doing something. But like, so I mean, I guess maybe there's some merit of the thank you for my service. So I buy into that, like that whole line of logic. But I mean, even then, I mean, I don't know, not really. And I don't know. It was, for me, it was just fixing planes, send them out. But I don't know. Like, I guess in some sense that kind of fucked with me more, because eventually once you realize what we're doing, you're like, oh, like I was the one sending those jets up. Like, you're like, oh shit, that's kind of fucked up.
And then laugh about it with your friends and you cry when you're too drunk.
Yeah. Like, I just fucking probably sent up a jet that refueled another jet that probably bombed a fucking Yemeni kid.
God damn.
Cool.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's just a wild, it's such a, like, the way things work and the way that you can, like, your mind can connect things is, it gets wild, especially in situations like that. And it just, like, you're just like, fuck, dude. Like, you end up contributing to a problem that you, like, didn't realize was a problem at first, and you volunteered for it. So you're like, I'm to blame. Like, you blame yourself kind of. And then it takes a while to get over that. It takes a fucking minute to get over that. And then once you get over it, because you're like, well, I can't fucking destroy the rest of my life and be like this mopey sack of shit and just always feel pity for myself. Like, it's like, all right, I really didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And that's what we try to explain to a lot of libertarians. It's like, fuck, man, I don't know what the fuck I didn't know what I was fucking doing. And like, I'm not saying that that's an excuse all the time, but for people that weren't directly in certain scenarios, like, you can't blame yourself for fucking everything.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get to the point where you're like, well, I mean, I might as well take the Ron Swanson approach and just like, well, I'm here. I mean, might as well just like do the bare minimum, you know, kind of deal. But hey, guys, I gotta get moving. It's getting a little bit late. The wife's wanting to go to bed, so she's gonna.
No problem, dude.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. And then we'll have to. I think we're gonna be on Slurp Gang this weekend. So
a Slurp Gang? Yeah, we'll have to get you on Tower Gang at some time. That'd be fun. We're starting to figure out what the hell we're gonna do now that we keep getting dinged by YouTube. So we're trying to figure out ways around it. So yeah, we've had 2 taken down so far. So I think the first one's a warning, the second one's a strike, and I think it's like 3 strikes, and you're really screwed. I don't know.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out ways around it. We have 4 videos on there, and we've gotten 1 taken down already. So
yeah. Oh, you only have 4 on YouTube? You already have 1 taken down?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've never had any taken down on my show, so I'm kind of blown away by that. But I'm not as provocative as Tower Gang is for sure. So
Tower Gang,
go ahead and drop your plugs and shit real quick.
Yeah.
I have the No Way Jose show. I'm on YouTube on all the major podcatchers. I'm on Odyssey as well. If someone out there would like to give me money, I like money. Patreon.com/says No Way Jose 2020. Go check out TopLobsta's stuff. He's the man. Go use Jose at checkout for fucking 10% off. And yeah, that's really all I got. Oh yeah, Twitter at Galley San Jose if you want to follow me there. I clown up in that bitch, so it's fun.
It's always fun to watch. Hey, again, thanks for coming on, and we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, later, dude.
All right, see ya.
Have a good one, dude.
All right, you too.